So, what is radical honesty about?
Well, we're automatically taught to lie in the course of being raised in the culture we're raised in. We were raised, all of us, in a racist culture and in a presumption of superiority of white people. So we're all raised to have a kind of a fundamentally fascist view of everyone else in the world. And other white people are considered to be superior, and people of all other colors and shapes and forms are considered to be inferior. And it doesn't matter what we say our values are, it's built into the system we're in. We're built in a system that teaches us to lie. Our parents teach us to not be impolite, which is a lie. They teach us to basically phony up what we think, what we feel, and what we've done. They teach us to withhold and not speak forth when something's bothering us. And so we have a lot of unlearning to do in order to not be a typically well-acculturated fascist motherfucker. And so radical honesty is about telling the truth and let the chips fall where they may and stick with people until you work it through and get over it. And you might get in a fight with somebody, or you might get in a big argument, but we'll do it short of killing. We won't kill them. We'll just have a holler, carry on fight, and then get over it. The idea is to get over shit and be happy. And the way you get over things is by telling the truth about them, sharing them, sticking with the other person until both of you get over whatever it is that you have as a demand for the changes in behavior for the other person. And the idea is to get to forgiveness, because that's where your power is. And so radical honesty is just about telling the truth about what you notice. And there's a limitation on what you can notice. You can only notice like about three things. The awareness continuum can be divided into three parts. You can notice what's going on outside of you right now. You can notice what's going on inside your skin right now. And you can notice what's going through your mind right now. And that's all there is. There isn't any more. You can't notice anything but that. I call it inside, outside, upside down. And what you do is you report what you notice. That's what you do. Radical honesty is reporting what you notice. And if you just report what you notice, you can work things out with other human beings that have to do with a kind of co-equal acceptance as one being to another, rather than the usual white superior is sort of racism we were all raised with.
When I talk about honesty, a lot of people have resistance towards showing anger. So that's the big taboo they don't want to be honest about. And often I hear that we can transform this energy, or that we just can kick our boxing sack and shouldn't show it.
Yeah, that's wrong. It doesn't work. So you have to say what you resent the other person for, what they did or said that you're mad at them about. And when you tell the truth about that and stay with them, you can get over it in about 90 seconds or so. Maybe even a minute and a half if it's a real big deal. Or maybe 3 minutes if it's your lover having made love to your best friend. But the idea is to get over it. You know, the world is not here to live up to your expectations. And basically, you're not here to live up to the world's expectations. So what we're trying to do is to get expectations out there as the usual unnecessary baggage that they are. They're an imposition onto the world about how the world has to live up to what you think it ought to live up to. And the world has a way of saying this to that pretty well. and we recommend that you say this to that with regard to everybody else that tries to make you live up to their expectations.
I like to hear that so much.
Good.
Tell me, it seems like foundations, when you talk about expectations, I remember Fritz Perls talking about it. What is the difference between your approach and radical honesty to the work that Fritz Perls did?
Well, it proceeds from Fritz Perls' work. But most of the real wisdom I learned from Fritz Perls and stole from people that worked with him. And we all basically were a part of a general breakthrough in the culture that relates all the way back to the whole trail of existentialism and phenomenology. And that basically there are whole bunches of us that think that noticing is more important than thinking. And we don't have much value placed in trusting our minds, because we know minds are untrustworthy instruments, and we would rather trust what we notice with our eyes and our ears and our ability to be present. So it's a presence based. What we're going for is to lose your mind and come to your senses, the way that Fritz talked about. And so we're all allies in that.
And I very much like the sentence, what you resist persists. Yeah. And can you say something about that? Maybe connected with the word radical and radical honesty?
Well, the idea is when you're withholding something from someone else and you're not talking about it, you cause it to persist. You cause it to persist because you spend a lot of time avoiding having it be out there. It's like an elephant in the room that everyone's trying to play like it isn't there. So you can say, I'm mad at you for what you did. It might be petty. I resent you for the way you shaved your beard. and so I can get mad about that, then get over it. Then I can like your beard, fine. But first we have to go into it, And then when you get into it, you can get over it. The thing is, if people are not taught to do this, in school we ought to be taught to transform relationships by being honest. But that's the last thing you learn in school. You learn the opposite. Lie like hell and withhold and try to get by with as much shit as you can. That's basically the fundamental premise of a top-down managed educational system. So there is this sort of ingrained learning that comes from the economic order and the educational institutions and the hierarchical arrangement of the way we do families, that all of this is poisonous crap, and we need to tell the truth about it in order to get over it. With a whole heritage of Western civilization from the Judeo-Christian tradition is a bunch of moralism, which is mostly bullshit. Like, there's not anything that you should do. There's not nearly as much things that you should do as you think there are. And not so many things you shouldn't do as you think there are. 2 or 3 things you should do and shouldn't do, and that's about it. and all the hundreds of other ones are just bullshit generated by your mind. And your mind is basically a bullshit generating machine. And so if you don't tell the truth about what, this is the bullshit I'm generating at the moment, what do you think? Then you can say what your thoughts are take it with a grain of salt. That's the saying means don't give it too much importance, because your mind is not that great. Your mind is basically a mess maker. And your job out here is to try to see clearly and speak clearly so you can undo the mess you're constantly making.
Yeah, I often have the impulse and want to think around it so I don't have to confront it.
Yeah.
Oh. And I know that it doesn't work.
Right. It doesn't work. You can play like it's working and think you're in control, but you're not, basically. So basically, it's learning how to be honest and out loud and have other people help you discover what's going on in the world and with you. Because you presume that you know, and most of what you presume is bullshit.